Well, we want to say welcome to yes, and especially you right here. Want to welcome you to the GW3 Global Club. And for those of you in Clubhouse, if you haven't already hit that mic, go ahead and hit the greenhouse at the top and join the club. This is the Tom Ford Fridays. This is the men's takeover mindset, money, and matrimony. And this is where the men get an opportunity to have a barbershop conversation without the women interrupting. And I have two strong guests with me on today. I have Brother Terrence and Brother Sean, and we're going to bring them up as we go ahead and get this conversation underway. And so, as they come up, if you're in the clubhouse, go ahead and share the room if you don't mind. If you're on YouTube or on our Facebook, go ahead, share, like the page. Let somebody know, hey, the men are in the house and the men about to have a barbershop conversation. Terrence, Sean, welcome to the GW3 Tom Ford Fridays. Both of you looking awful dapper there. And I hope you're ready to get into this conversation. Now, these are the rules for the conversation. The women are listening on Clubhouse, but they can't ask any questions. They may put some in the comments, and we may or may not answer them. Depends on if we want to or not, because this hour is all about the men. Now, you don't get this opportunity nowhere else on Clubhouse to where the men get to have a conversation. So we're going to start out with Terrence. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from. We go to Sean. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and then we're going to dive right into our barbershop conversation. Mike's over to you, Terrence.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Terrence P. Elmore. I am a author, a poet, a writer. I'm also a podcast host. I'm on a journey to spread love in a world that seems to be full of hate. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and I'm a graduate of Benedict College.
All right, we've got Terrence. Uh, I asked this question at the beginning last week, and I might have gotten into trouble, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway because we need to clear things up. I don't want to get in trouble if you ladies, if you gentlemen have ladies. So, Terrence, are you single, available, or taken?
Very happily married.
All right, so Brother Terrence is very happily married. So we'll be hearing the perspective from a happily married man. And over to you, Sean.
Yes, sir. Married with 3 kids.
Oh, he's very, very, very married.
Yeah.
Unless you want to pay child support. All right. So,
uh,
Terrence, tell us who you are, where you're from. I'm sorry, Sean. Tell us who you are and where you're from.
okay. Yes. I am Sean L. Landrum. I live in Indianapolis, Indiana, a little on the outskirts, a place called Westfield, Indiana. I'm a writer director. New to the game, in the new Hollywood gang. I've been doing this for about 5 years now. After a life altering event, made me switch the course of my life to a new journey, and that journey's taken me to 35 countries, wins in all those film festivals, over 80 film festival wins total. Working on my first short, getting the budget together. Got a feature thriller in the works that just got greenlit. So just loving life, man.
Wonderful, wonderful. And joining us from the clubhouse is none other than Core Element himself. Core, open up your mic and let us know who you are, where you are from, and are you single, available, or are you married? Are you there, Core? All right, we're not hearing from Core. All right. Hopefully, we got rid of that echo. All righty. This technology getting the volumes and everything set correctly. All right. So we'll go ahead and dive right into the conversation. Gentlemen, according to Steve Harvey, one of the questions that women ought to ask men is what is their perspective on relationship? So, and we're talking about relationship. Let's make sure we define it. A relationship with the opposite sex. So, gentlemen, what's your perspective on a relationship? And we'll add one more question to it. What do you think makes for a good relationship? Sean, well, go ahead and start with you.
What makes for a good relationship, man? I think that is a lifelong answer, question and answer. Um, I guess that mutual respect, mutual love. Um, it can't just be about looks. It just can't be about the material things. You know what I mean? It has to be deeper. It has to be some type of soul connection. Um, if I would say if you are not feeling that vibe and you are not feeling that way about a person, then that relationship isn't gonna last, and if it does, it's gonna end in resentment. So I would say mutual respect, mutual love. You don't have to agree with everything. You don't have to watch the same shows, but um, yeah, just that mutual.
It's a mutual respect. All right, we're going to go to Brother Terrence. I'm going to come back. I want to dive into that a little bit deeper. Brother Terrence, what's your views on relationship with the opposite sex, and what do you think makes for a good relationship?
I think communication makes for a good relationship with everybody, but especially with the opposite sex. I don't think we communicate properly enough. We have conversations, but we don't actually communicate. And to me, communication is where everybody are, maybe if it's just two people, but everybody gets an understanding of the other person's perspective. We might not necessarily have to agree with each other, but we get an understanding. And with that understanding, we can find like a middle or common ground to move forward. I think a lot of times we get into conflicts and things like that, and we just kind of accept the other person's view without really understanding, just for the sake of not having a heated discussion or any discussion further. But if we properly communicate, then we get a better understanding, and we learn from those experiences, not just having, conversations and talking about things, but getting like an understanding. To me, that's what communication is. You have to get an understanding of where the other person is coming from, and then you build from that and learn and move forward.
All right, Terrence, I'm going to come back to that piece on communication. But right now, I want to go back over to Sean when he talked about mutual respect. Sean, you brought up the mutual respect. And one of the things I've learned as a relationship facilitator is that our definitions of respect are different. So, Sean, what is your definition of respect, and how has it showed up in your relationships as far as the women who have been in your life? And I guess we'll stay safe and say with your wife, if you don't mind, her definition of respect versus your definition of respect. I don't want to get your brothers in trouble.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I think I was well prepared for the respect thing by my mother. Real strong, beautiful queen. She kind of drilled in my head from the jump. Hold doors. Open doors. Pull out chairs. So it's always been second nature to me, and that's always been something that people respect. I don't do it just to women that I court or anything of that nature. I do it for every single woman, from the little queens to the older queens. I won't call them too old, you know what I mean? But
Come on now, it's we know what they call them. They call them cougars. That's what they call them.
no,
This is the barbershop conversation. All right. So look, they call them cougars.
I call them beautiful.
They call them seniors.
You know what I'm saying?
They it just depends on what the lady's personality is.
Yeah.
Now, don't y'all let that pastor in the front of my name get it twisted. We here to have real barbershop conversations. So there are some cougars out there, and there are some reserved women. There's some mothers, there's some sisters, there's some missionaries. Look here, they have all types of titles. But you're talking about the ladies who are in, say, their final quarter, the fourth quarter of life. How about that? We say the fourth quarter. That work?
Fourth quarter, hey, and there's always overtime, ladies. Don't forget that.
overtime. All right, can't count them out because overtime is coming. I love that. So we're gonna go back to Terrence. Terrence talked about communication. That happens to be one of my wheelhouses. But Terrence, when you talk about communication between uh, the opposite sex, a man and a woman who are in a relationship, let us know and let the ladies that are listening, because they can't talk right now, let them know from your perspective, because oftentimes women say we men don't communicate well. So, Terrence, what do you say to those ladies that are saying, I heard what you said, Terrence Elmore. However, men just don't communicate well.
Well, I guess first and foremost, there has to be some sort of level of comfort to be able to communicate. Um,
All right,
man has to,
I'm going to interrupt. When you say comfort, we got to let these
yes,
ladies, they men understand what you're talking about. And the Rashawn, we
Do we
understand what he's
understand
talking
what they're
about.
talking about?
Yeah, we
Uh,
understand what Terrence is saying.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
All right,
okay, okay.
so the
So
ladies may not understand what you mean by a level of comfort. So we want to help them out.
okay, a man has to be comfortable and still feel like a man talking to you about his problems, talking to you about his issues, challenges, struggles, and even shortcomings. It has to be a safe space. I'll use that word for a man to come and talk to you and say, "Hey, I'm not feeling like myself today," or I'm having a hard time because we're groomed and trained to be the protector. That's since we were little boys, we were trained we have to be a protector, whether it's your little sister, your little cousins, just you have to be a protector. And so being a husband or, boyfriend, someone in a relationship, you have to feel comfortable to say, hey, I'm not at my top today. I'm not feeling my best today. I'm not, feeling my strongest. And I need to confide in you to let you know that. But you can still feel safe. You can still feel protected. I'm just having a moment right now. And in me being able to talk to you, it actually strengthens me as well because I know I have somebody who has my back and somebody who's there for me when I need it the most so I can be my best self.
So you brought up the idea of having a safe place. And Sean, I want you to be thinking because I'm going to ask both of you this question. What does a safe place look like, feel like, and sound like? Terrence, what does it look like? What does it feel like? And what does it sound like?
It's a comfort zone. It's a place. I'll use an example. And this goes for anybody. If someone is telling you something in confidence at their weak moments and confiding in you, don't take that and throw it back in their face later on. Don't use that against them. Don't weaponize that vulnerability for your personal gains later. It's a place where I can tell you any and everything about me. The the moments where I'm not feeling the best, the moments where I'm just feeling like just not worth anything. And no matter what, you will never throw that back in my face. You actually use that to strengthen me, find ways to encourage me, find ways to pull out the person that you know I am inside.
So, Terrence, what I heard you say is that when you open up, you when you and your lady get into a fight, and I'm not talking about a physical fight, I'm talking about a conflict. All right. And so we talk about fighting fear. We're just talking about the conflict that comes up in relationships. You don't want that moment of vulnerability to come up and be used against you. Is that what I heard you say?
Right. And that's one of the many things I love about my wife is when I talk to her and I have those vulnerable moments and those moments where I'm not feeling, like myself. She always encourages me and it's never been a time where she's thrown that back in my face. It's actually, made things it helps her understand because, we talked about this earlier about being men and not communicating well. And it's not always intentional. It's just, we have a lot going on in our minds and, we're groomed, like I said, we're groomed to be the protector. So we may not actually think that something is wrong with us until somebody brings it up and we actually sit and think like, well, you know what? I do have this on my mind and I'm glad you asked and I'm gonna tell you what's going on. And with that, it eases tension because there could be some unnecessary tension because you have this look on your face or you zoned out thinking about something and you don't even realize that you're not being yourself until she brings it up, and then you're like, you know what, I'm not okay. I use another example. When the whole thing happened with George Floyd,
Mhm.
I wasn't okay. It, I been used to that sort of thing all my life, but that incident really just it took it to a whole nother level. And my wife asked me if I was okay, and just generally speaking, I guess because I was looking a certain kind of way, I told her no, I'm not. I'm like, this is really messed with me, and I don't know. I just can't really explain my feelings. But in that moment when I opened up to her, I felt like a burden lift off me. And then because she knew what was going on, she was able to help me lift that burden as well.
That's a good point. I want to come back to that one, Brother Sean.
Yes, sir.
As we talk about being in a safe place, what does it sound like? What does it look like? What does it feel like to you, brother?
And I'd like to start out, King, by just saying, um, you don't have to be just a safe space, to your husband or your significant other. I'm in several groups. Like we meet every morning. I got a prayer group with a ton of great queens that pray for me. And, I got a writers group with another good group of people. I think if we expand, what we think of when we think of even being a safe space to someone. I'll give you an example. There was a time in my life, and I'll probably get into it a little later, but my heart started going into AFib, atrial fibrillation. I started having other medical issues, and I had a successful janitorial company. I worked a 9 to 5, and I had to let all that go. Start all over. You know what I mean? So. Going from that to where I am now, there's been times in my life where I had $11 in my bank account. You know what I mean? And for example, this was like a little while ago. I was in between jobs. A writer, you get paid for the few months that you're working, and then you're on to the next gig. But there was a time when I was feeling really down, man. Like just like when you push and you give it everything you got, and it's just
Mhm.
like, it's just one more obstacle in your way. Um, I was down to that point, feeling that way, and I got hit up to do a podcast, and the queen that sent me the message, she started out by greeting me as a king. And I don't know what it was about that moment in time, but man, it was what I needed to hear. And she didn't even know me, and she didn't have to.
Mhm.
She's known of my accolades, things that I've done, but we didn't have like a personal introduction or anything. But she let me know that she recognized me as that, and I mean that little bit of spark fueled me to go out and do what I needed to do. And I landed 2 projects the following day. You know what I mean? So um, that safe space thing, yes, be that to your man, be that to your husband, because we need it. Like we need it 1,000 times over. And, yeah. So if you can be that to any man in your life, um, that is huge. And you know what? When you do things like that, it attracts the right person anyway. So if you were looking for someone on that same vibe level as you, um, start out in places where you're gonna find like minded people, I should say, and go from there. I know that was a little more than you wanted, but I
Well,
feel
this is a
it's
barbershop conversation.
I
We
mean,
whatever you want to share is it
yeah,
stays right here in the barbershop.
for
And
sure.
so what I heard you say, Sean, brother, is that kings have to take off their crown sometime. And we don't always feel like kings. And it's in those moments that we need the queen to not only continue to respect us, to continue to pour into us, to continue to believe in us, but we need to be able to hear that. I believe in one of our previous shows, we talked about men needing to hear affirmations. And so that's what I'm hearing a repeat of that from you, Sean, is that even though we're the king, even though we're the provider, even though we're there to protect, there are times we need to hear you say that you appreciate us. There's times we need you to pour into us and say, as I heard Terrence say, is that when the George Floyd thing happened, that his wife needed to recognize he's not okay, and we need our ladies to be able to know those times and not use those times against us. Am I on the right street?
Yeah, bro. Let me just add one thing, man. I don't want it to be even strictly forwarded towards the adult women. You know, I find strength in my 9-year-old daughter every day. She gives me a hug. She tells me I'm the best dad in the world, and you know that affirmation right there, man. Like I in her lifetime, in my lifetime, I'll never be able to thank her enough. You know what I mean? So even instilling it in your kids at a younger age is so important. So yeah, I just want to
That's huge right there. That's huge right there. Brother Terrence, I want to come back to you. You were talking about that time where you didn't know that you weren't all right, but your wife was able to recognize that and be able to bring it to you in a way that was non-threatening. To help the ladies that may hear this, what would have made that situation different?
Different in a negative way,
As
or
what would have made it different in the negative? What would have kept you in your shell?
um, anything that would have been the opposite, and that's that's another one of the many reasons why I love her is she's such a kind-hearted person. But if it was something like man up, or something like that, or I mean, we see this all the time. What's the problem? Something like that. Something like, kind of like the walk it off mentality. When you were younger, you played sports and you got hit real hard, and you taught to just walk off the pain. Walk it off, you'll be all right. But the pain was never addressed. So
Right.
if it was something like that, then that wouldn't have helped, because when you, I think that when you tell somebody that how you're feeling in such a vulnerable way, and they respond with, whatever, or they don't take it as serious, it pushes you into a sort of a coping mechanism with pain, a coping, and that happens to us as being men growing up, like I said, with the walk it off thing, or man up, or stuff like that. But it later on and over time, it puts us in this place of like a coping mechanism. We kind of like, we think we're numb to the pain and stuff like that, but it shows up in different places because we never address certain things. So if it was a response like that, or response like man up or whatever, it would have just built whatever I was going on inside of me, pain, hurt, anger. It would just fueled it, but it would have been bottled up, and who knows when else that would have come out, because that's a moment where you needed to express yourself. And then especially if somebody else notices that you're not okay, and then you actually think about it, like, wow, I'm not okay. Had you not asked, where would I have been with my thoughts and the rest of my day, or even going out in the street? How would I have interacted with somebody else, because I'm not realizing that I'm having things going on and I'm not my best self. So it's like, if you're ever in a situation, and this is for the ladies, if you're ever in a situation with a guy, even if it's not a significant other, and they're telling you things that, and they're opening up in a vulnerable way, receive that. But also, if you can't find the words to say, or you can't, think of anything to do to kind of just let them know, hey, I'm here to listen. And you can just listen, but don't ever, especially in an argument or any kind of, and if it's in confidence, don't tell anybody else about it. Keep it between you all, but don't ever try to bring that up and throw it back in. And that's not just for men and women, but just people in general. when somebody's telling you something in confidence, somebody's coming to you with some issues. I mean, if they just need an air, don't ever throw that back up in their face. Even if you had to stop what you were doing and it cut out your day, and you plan on doing something, you don't make them feel like, hey, well, remember that time you called me? I was trying to do X, Y, and Z, but you called me and you kind of stopped my day. No, if you're willing to listen, if you're willing to be there for somebody, be there, and don't hold record of it just to throw it back in their face. And even if they're never there for you in return, that's fine. But you were who you were supposed to be in that moment for that person. And so don't soil that, don't pervert that.
Absolutely. It sounds, I call that hitting below the belt. And
Right.
that's when we get into our conflicts, where we teach about how to fight fair. And again, for those who are just tuning in, when I say fight fair, I'm not talking about physical fighting. We are an advocate for domestic violence. What I'm talking about is the conflicts that couples will have. And there are methods and tools for fighting fair so that you can work through those conflicts, because conflicts absolutely need to be resolved. We're going to pause there for a moment. I saw Brother Sean 10K coming to the room. We're going to see if he's with us. Also, we're going to check in on Clubhouse and see if Core Element is able to join in yet. We know he was having some technical issues with his mic. Core, are you able to speak to us yet? All right, we're not able to hear from Core, and Sean will pop back in when he comes in. We'll bring him into the conversation as well. I want to go again to the point that you were talking during the George Floyd issue that was going on, and that is when we men feel helpless. It's something we don't often talk about, but there are times that when we want to do something, but we feel like we can't do anything, that there's nothing. And in those moments, I would like for you to share, if you would, what's the process of thinking when you go through that moment? How do you, and then how do you come out of it? So what's the process while you're in it, and then how do you come out of it? We're going to go over to Sean, and then we'll come back to you, Terrence.
So your question was what was my process on the grief side, or just how I dealt with it, period?
Well, we're going to use that incident as an example, but when we as men get in that state, excuse me, that we feel helpless, that we want to do something that we can't, and I'll give an example. For me, sometimes it's anger, because I want to fix the problem, but I can't fix it. It's bigger than I am. So when you go through that, what's the process, and then how do you come out of it?
Yeah, that's an easy question for me.
Go.
Because realistically, I've had to change my career 3 times, and I've succeeded in everything 3 times and had to let it go. The way that I've dealt with it, and the way that I've been dealing with it, is to know that, man, there's been so many things that's happened to me throughout my life that, hey, man, I shouldn't be here like 10, 20 times over. But, there was always an angel. There was always someone there or the fact that my whole life, I've always had this innate ability to be on my P's and Q's. So, just all that, dealing with all that, and to know that I've come out on the other end, lets me know that anything that comes before me in the future, there's no need to stress about it. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna work out. I'd say another thing for men and women that's really important during those times is doing something you love, man. I cannot stress that enough. Like, for me, and I didn't find this out till I was 35 years of age. So it's never too late, and I wanted to reiterate that for the overtime people. It's never too late. I got into writing, you know what I mean, and wrote my first script. Sold it like 6 days later. Let me know I could do it, but the process in the writing, like, was it was something that, you know, I've had loves for basketball, business, all kind of things in my life. But when I'm up 4 a.m. in the morning, because I get up at 4 a.m. in the morning because I got 3 kids to wake up and noise and chaos erupts. So I'm 4 in the morning. You know, I got my groove going. If I'm creating, if I'm writing, you know, sometimes I cry. You know what I mean? I let the tears go. You know, I dance, and it's just this unbelievable feeling. Like the only way to describe it, man, is it's like better than sex. You know what I mean? And if you can get that feeling in your life, man or woman, I mean, it's a release, you know. And then, you know, I can go about my day and know that I put in my work, know that I'm closer to an enlightenment, and you know, spend time in the Word as well. So, I mean, if you're doing all those things, and you're putting in the work, just like everything else, I'm talking to everybody here on Clubhouse, on the line. You're here right now today because you beat out every obstacle in your life. I'm sure you got friends, you got loved ones that are missed that are not here right now. So because you're here, you do have a purpose. And if you can tap into that purpose, it's the greatest thing
Sean, you bring up, and not Sean 10K, because we got 2 Seans. Sean, you bring up a very good point that I don't think many women even consider. And Terrence, I saw you smiling. I'm going to go to Sean 10K and get his perspective on it here in just a moment. And that is that when you do, there are things that men enjoy more than sex. Let me say that one more time, because I got a pastor friend. He absolutely loves to golf. And he's made the same statement. He said, it's better than sex. All right. Because he absolutely loves it. And I don't think women say, I see Sean 10K shaking his head. We're going to Sean here in a minute. But there are men who have things that they love more than sex. Now, I know some of the women say, you just ain't had the right sex yet. Sean,
the question is, what type of sex are you having?
Hey, man, let me tell you something. Hold on, let me tell you something. Hold up, brother. Let me tell you something for the non-married, man. All right, I've been with my wife. We got a 16-year-old son. I've been with her for 19 years. So the type of sex that can sustain for 19 years, my brother, is good sex.
Tell him that one more time. Tell him one more time.
The sex that can sustain me for 17 years it does me just fine. You feel me? But there has to be more. I'm just saying, there's got to be more in life. You feel me? Like you can't just be chasing that cat. You know, like you got to be chasing your dreams. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so let me hop in real quick. All you guys are speaking right up my alley right now. So normally, Sean, when people ask, you know, what made you decide that she was the one? I'm gonna tell you exactly why I decided she was the one. She was on top of me, bro, and she looked like she hit the promised land. She was doing all kind of woo. I didn't know how to explain that shit. And I asked myself in that moment, I said, look, if you're with her, if you're with someone else, will you steal a session with her right here? The answer was yes. I said, if you're with her, would you steal a session outside? The answer was no. I said, lady, I'm gonna marry your ass. That's it. I'm not complicated. That was it for me. Gentlemen, if you're not lusting after the woman you're with, you're not having good sex. Ain't nothing better than being with a woman you lust after, guys. That's my opinion right there. I'm gonna keep it right there, bro. As the richest man in the world, what is the one thing money can't buy you? Oh, baby. When you find that shit, you gonna marry that. You gonna marry that right there. Hey, look, I'm going back on you guys. I'm gonna stop coming to
I knew Sean was gonna come with it. But
my man is wild.
Yeah, by the time Sean gets to that 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years, he'll know what we're talking about.
Good luck, guys. Good luck. They said the same thing after the first week. They said, guys, you know what's my secret to my success in marriage. On the first day I got my wife, I said, good. It'll take her 2 days to get rid of me. The moment we made 1 week, I said, good. It'll take her 2 weeks to get rid of me. When we hit a month, I said, good. It will take her 60 days to get rid of me. And that 60 days is me bringing my A game. So what happened, you think, when we hit 7 years? Man, this is going to take her 14 years to get rid of me. I'm not the kind of guy you get rid of. So when we hit 20 years, it's going to take her 40 years to get rid of me. When we get to 50 years, it's going to take her 100 years to get rid of me. Come on, man. What game are you guys playing? What game are you guys playing? Let's talk about
it. Let's let Terrence get into the conversation. Terrence. So I saw you agreeing.
No, I know it was born before I get there, Terrence. You're laughing your ass off. You're like, where was this guy at the beginning of the show? It's okay, Terrence. Hurt Pastor just feeling. Hurts this feeling. He's so boring with his presentation. You want to be so on. Yeah, that's it.
I said I'm bored with my presentation. You know what?
Yo, Pastor Jeff, I'm gonna take jobs with you every week, man. Come on, man.
Hey, I can take it, Sean. I can
you're my
take
boy,
it.
you're my boy. What's up?
You at 7 years. I'm at 32 years. So you know,
Okay,
I understand what Big Sean is saying. You know, when you ask what kind of sex we having, all kind. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's better, sometimes it's out of this world, and sometimes it was just, is that the best you can do today?
I never had that. I'm sorry, I can't go there with you. Forget about that strap. I'm not going there with you. At my worst, it was like, God damn, why would we argue again? God damn. That's at its worst.
The thing, though, is I'm bringing out Sean.
At its best, baby, what do you want?
The thing, Sean, is that a lot of ladies think that that's all that men think about. And there's other things that we think about. It's good. It's on our mind a lot. And we definitely need it to sustain a marriage. However, it's not the only thing. And I believe, as the other Sean was saying, some women think that the most that they have to offer to a man is what's between their legs and above their stomach. And I don't know. That's the type of men that I hang around. No, you got to offer me more than what's between your legs and what's above your stomach, because pretty much at least 95% of women had the same thing between their legs and similar to what's above the stomach. Look at Terrence. Come on, Terrence. What do you say, Terrence?
Nope. I can't agree with that one, Pastor Jeff. I can't co-sign something I don't believe in. That's why you guys be using this phrase better than sex. Of course you're going to use the phrase better than sex, because you ain't smashed the right one yet. That's my position on that one. Let's carry on.
Terrence. Come on, let's bring the civilized conversation back, Terrence.
I forgot where we were.
we were.
What was the question again?
I know. We were talking about
where men's going.
Men think about more than just sex. As the other Sean was sharing, is that he gets up, he goes through his routine, he writes the things that he loves. I mean, I don't want to gloss over the fact that in that joy of doing what he likes, he cries, he dances, he shares, he writes.
When having good sex, yeah, right, Sean. When having good sex,
talking about having good sex.
When having good sex, you cry.
Yeah, that's a part of the equation, right?
That's not what he was saying.
You know
let Terrence answer the question.
Hey, Terrence, good luck, man. Let's go.
So, as far as sustainability with your mind, yeah, you have to think about more things than sex. I believe we were talking about. Yeah, I remember now what we were talking about as far as dealing with those times where you're upset. And you want to do something, but you can't.
Right.
And pretty much where I am with that is like, you know, there are going to be a lot of times where you face things that you can't do anything about, and you be upset and frustrated. I just reflect back to times where I thought I wasn't going to make it, and I did. And then I look at where I am in this moment, and I just, you know, I start off with a prayer to get my mind back right, because a lot of times you get faced with stuff and you may trip over the smallest things, And it's like I've faced worse things than this. So why is this bothering me to this magnitude? It is just, you have to just come back to yourself. Like I've beat bigger things than this. I've slayed bigger giants. I've knocked down bigger things. Why am I letting this small thing bother me? And I've come so far from different things that have hit me in life. So that's one of the things that you have to do. You have to come back to yourself and be like, wait. I can handle this. You know, I've been here before. And even if it's something that you never, handled before, you've faced challenges and you've rose above the occasion. You've gotten past those moments. So it's okay to be, I don't want to use the word doubtful, but kind of feel like, well, what am I going to do? I can't do anything about it. And if you actually really can't do anything about it, let it go. Pray about it, let it go, move on. Because if you realistically can't do anything about it, all you're gonna do is stress yourself out. All you're gonna do is put extra pressure on yourself for something you can't even control. So I just go back to those moments and I think about those sort of things. I kind of look at it like from a logical standpoint.
All right, I want to ask a deep thought question here. If Sean 10K will let me do that here on my show, and that is, brothers.
It better be a good one. Let's go, bro. Let's go. I gotta hold you accountable.
What is one thing? What one mistake have you made as a man in your relationship that you would want to teach other brothers not to make?
Compromising with sex. That's the one mistake.
Explain it, Sean. What are you talking about? What's compromise with sex?
So when you guys talk about better than sex, in the previous relationship, I could have agreed with you on that line. You know what I'm saying? Because that shit was real. But when I met the woman I'm with right now, ain't nothing better than sex.
Sean, we're gonna charge you a 10K card for the next foul word that you use.
First of all, sex is not a foul word. That's the first thing. Sex is a good.
What's sex? We all use sex. We all talk sex. But you're gonna have to start giving some free 10K cards out. We want to help you clean up.
I'm not gonna argue.
All right. So go. Proceed.
But the one mistake, if you guys would want to call, first of all, in my opinion, respectfully, there's no such a mistake. We're all on the journey. We're all on the path. There's no light without darkness. There's no left without right. There's no east without west. What does that mean? We're all experiencing this to help us move forward correctly. So in my word, there's no right or wrong. So the one thing, if I had it all over to do again, probably, not sure, is I would have involved my wife more in my business. Yesterday, we had the largest event on Clubhouse. I was top left. My wife was right next to me. It was the most powerful feeling she got. Because hosting the largest event.com with my wife right next to me, I saw how that made her feel. But the reason I said I would probably do it all over again, because I have no regrets now, make no mistake about it, but it probably would have propelled our success a little further. And here's what I base my opinion on. At the end of our life, for most of us that are successful, we will give away approximately 90% of our wealth. But here's what I want to challenge you guys to think about. Before you get to the end of your life, why not live? I'm going to say this again nice and slow. Before you get to the end of your life, why not live? Because if you're going to give it away, guess what? Someone else is going to live it. Why not you? So I just want to challenge everyone here, just embody that thinking. If we can all agree at the end of our lives, we're about to give away 90%. Why not start using that 90% now and live the best life? That's my message today. What I want to take that one away.
That's a good point, Sean. We'll go to Terrence and then we'll go to Sean L.
I can't think of anything other than I guess when I was dating, before I started dating my wife, just not dating intentionally, just kind of being in a relationship just with no point. I think that I would say, if I could summarize, I guess just being comfortable with just being in a relationship. That's one thing, I would tell any guys, like, when you're dating and stuff, that's cool. But, when it starts getting to a a couple of months, a couple of years, it's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And so when I decided, like, the next time I date, I want to be intentional about my dating. And so when I started dating my wife, I was intentional about it from the beginning. She's the person I wanted to be with, and I did the steps and made the steps to date her intentionally. And that really makes a difference when you're finding somebody you want to be with, or you're finding somebody you want to build a life with, is you have to be intentional about it. Don't think just because you're with somebody and it just casually happened, like, well, hey man, you cool, I'm cool, we can just, I guess we can go ahead and move forward. But when you put that intentionality into it, it makes a whole lot of difference.
Absolutely. I'm hearing some feedback in the back. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but we'll go to you, Sean L. What's one mistake that you would use to teach other men not to make?
I'm sorry, brother. I'm hearing something in the background. It's kind of hard for me to hear you.
I just
All right.
need my
It's like a bird or something. Okay.
All right, the birds are gone. All right, yeah.
Cool.
Oh, no.
Wait, who had the bird? Who had the bird? Was it Jeff or Terrence?
Who's got the birds, man?
I want to know who had the bird. Who had the bird?
It's not me.
It's
I
definitely
believe
not.
Pastor Jeff. I believe it's Pastor Jeff. That's some bird behavior right there. Hey, yo, Sean, come on.
All right,
All right.
Sean, mute your mic and let's see if we hear birds.
You're trying to be at the same time with me. It's
Hey,
not going to happen.
Mute your mic, Sean.
Let's go,
Mute
Pastor
your
Jeff.
mic, Sean.
Is
Let's
your mic muted?
Mute your mic real quick. I don't hear no birds now.
1 second. I know Pastor Jeff very well. He's sneaky. Watch us. You hear the bird? You hear the bird?
Sean, they got the
Yeah,
birds
Hey,
going
this
in
is
the
why we
background.
need you, ladies. This is why we need you right here.
This is what, yeah.
You know what I'm
Sean TK got the birds going in the background.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I
I really was gonna accuse him of listening to the clubhouse while he was talking to us at another clubhouse and being in our room at the same time. But we'll just leave it at the birds. All right, Sean L. Is there one mistake that you made as a man that you would use to teach other men not to make in a relationship?
Man, I think the man I am today is because of the mistakes that I made, or it's because of the good things that I've done. I guess one thing I would say to younger men, like my man Terrence said, don't just date to date. Try to really get to know that person. See if it's a match. Don't be like Sean K. just because it's good. Don't hang around for 10 years. But you know what I mean? My man's wild.
These advice, these guru. Anyone that's young and in the chat, please. If you're young and you're in the chat, discard everything SHAWN is saying. Tap into Sean 10K. Okay, Sean.
He gonna come in a barbershop and just take the barbershop over with. And look here, Sean. I don't know if we were hearing the birds on your end or not. It might not. So Pastor Jeff might have to give you an apology. I did have to mute a mic on Clubhouse, so we may have been hearing.
Bird. What do you know you're a bird in the room? What are you
We
trying?
may have been hearing from
No bird can
Clubhouse.
exist around me. Bird can't handle energy.
All right, so let's go back to Sean. Sean was sharing with us, and before he got interrupted. So what's that one thing, Sean? You were saying, so your mistakes have made you.
Yeah,
Where you left off at.
the mistakes have made me who I am today. Of course, you need to take advice from people that's been there, people that's done it. I mean, to a certain extent, you need to take from it what you need to, but always be your own person. Learn from the mistakes. You make a bonehead mistake, just the intention is that it doesn't happen again. You do a really good thing for someone and that feels good. The intention is to feel that feeling again and do something good and bring that light into the world. So first and foremost, I mean, it's hard for me to talk about the dating end, without talking about the spiritual end of it, because that connection is so important, man. It is absolutely vital. So yeah, I'd say look for that connection, look for that spark, as my man Sean K points to, make sure that the sex is good. You know, my man, and like my man Terrence.
It was so convincing, but he got there. He got there. That's it, Sean. I'm proud of you.
Like my man Terrence said, you know, date with that intention. You know, don't be afraid of it. You know, let them know what you want. Let them know what you're looking for. But also, you know, don't just be there for that person that you're with, or that person you're after. And I'm not talking about in a sexual way. You know, there's you can brighten someone else's day. You know what I mean? And you may not know that they need it at that point in time, but you can change a life. Again, everybody on this call, everybody's been through it. Just like I said, right? And you all come out at the end of it. So we're here right now. This is the future. Make good decisions. I'm here.
So I got a question to Sean 10K's point.
Let me unmute.
I'm going to stay in that vein. So as we talked, Sean talked about having good sex.
Great sex. Great sex.
Great sex. Sustainable sex is what Sean said. So in that process, does it just happen, or is there some learning and some teaching and some communication that has to take place?
All right, so I'm old school. I think I was born in the 60s or something. I'm the kind of guy that will hit them over the head and just drag them home, okay? So I take my mind back to the jungle. When I'm in the jungle, I'm looking to see what a male lion is going to do. If a male lion sees the mate he wants, he's going to sniff her out. He's going to sniff her out. And if he sniffs her out and it's good, he's that's what I'm looking for. Guys, look, full transparency. Thank God my wife is not in the room. When I met my wife the first the first day, okay, guys?
Glad she's not in the barbershop.
She was happy. She was smiling. And my nickname is Mr. Happy and Relaxed. So I'm like, why is she smiling so much? I ordered a drink, sent it up to her. She's like, nope, sorry, I don't do drinks. But she didn't know who I was. The bartender said, nope, Mr. Lashley, send your drink. You take the drink. Long story short, guys, that day, beautiful day. You know what happened at the barbershop. Bam! But I made a decision that day because I went and had on a nice designer shirt, you know the vibes. And boy, before I got access, she ripped that shit open. I was like, God damn. No one else has ever done that shit to me. So she ripped my designer clothes open.
That's 5 cards.
Game over. And
that's 5 10K cards right now.
I just made a decision that day, guys, that she was going to be my wife. Not only did I marry her, but I intend to commit the rest of my life to her. So all these different features that you guys are looking on, man, we can work on everything. We can work on everything. But if that good sex is missing, you're going to find something better than sex. As I heard you guys were talking about before I got here. So for me, it's just having that it factor, Pastor, and having the ability to really inspire someone to be their best, inspiring someone to rise above it all, to do great things. Man, that's what it is for me.
Hey, so man, who's that lady that was chopping the dude's reproduction?
The kind of things that you guys are reading.
What was that lady's name?
Pastor Jeff probably sent you the article. Pastor Jeff sent you the article.
So what my man is saying is that you could be Lorena Bobbitt as long as that vagina is on tact and on point. He will marry you. You got Sean K here. He will marry you.
Well, he can't marry nobody else now.
You see, the secret to life is that fine line before getting it chopped off.
No, you can work anything out.
Don't forget we're on social media.
Oh, we can work anything out. Oh, yeah, no. We can work anything. Yo, guys, if you meet my wife,
he can work.
If you guys meet my wife, right? The reason I'm such a good boy to my wife, she is. You guys think I'm the crazy one? No, I'm the same one. She is crazy as hell, and I'm crazy in love with her. The reality of the situation is, guys, we all have one life to live. We're all on one path. The question is, learn and discover yourself to the point where you can embrace anyone else that comes around you. Learn and be one with yourself, that it doesn't matter who come before you, who come into your environment, you can allow them to mature and go along their path. It's just that simple. It's not more complicated.
The question the question for everybody other than Sean 10K,
There we go.
because he's
What's
the
the
king of
answer?
the jungle, is in that process of sustainable and good sex. Was there some learning that had to take place? Was there some teaching that had to take place? Was there some communication that had to take place? Or did it all just happen naturally? So that's for you, the other Sean, and for Terrence, because we already heard 10K.
I'm gonna let Terrence.
That's a soft answer, guys. Come on, you got this. Swing it out of the park. Be honest.
What'd you say, Terrence?
Oh boy.
Just natural communication, physically, spiritually, and mentally, that sort of thing. When you've met someone and you're matched with them and you're supposed to be with them, those things happen naturally, and it's like a groove. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's just natural. It's just, when the communication is open, it opens every part of the relationship, marriage. It opens it up. It flows.
All right, gentlemen. So we come to the top of the hour, and that is just for the hour that we've been here. And it's really, I think, at the bottom of the hour. This is going to be my next to the final question. And that is, since we are in this vein of intimacy and sex, and I think it's two different things. Sometimes the wife and I have sex, and sometimes we are intimate. What is your perspective on soul ties? And that is that deposit, that spiritual deposit that you make, and that spiritual deposit that you take when you have sex.
Let's get the politically correct answers first. Sean, you and Terrence go first, and then Pastor John, then I'll go.
No, let's get the unpolitical out of the way first. So go ahead, Sean. Let's get your answer first and get it out of the way.
So what was the question again? So you guys can do a little damage control. What's the question again?
Yeah, so we want to end on your answer, Sean. What's your perspective on when you have sex with a woman?
My wife. Words are powerful.
Okay. When you've had sex with a woman.
My wife. Okay.
That wasn't the only woman you had. So when you've had sex with a woman, let me finish the question, Sean.
Okay. Trying to process this better than sex.
Your perspective of soul ties, of you deposit something spiritually in her and you take something spiritually from her in that act of copulation.
So words for me, guys, is very, very important. And my choice of words, my thinking, my idea, my vibration, it's all centered in the presence. Mm-hmm. So whenever I'm ready to lay wifey down, it's a spiritual transaction. Whether I'm going to try to hump her in the middle of the day, I'm going to sneak up on her in the middle of the night while she's doing the laundry or cooking, doesn't matter. It's always for me a spiritual transaction because I mentally date my wife every day. We're married, but she's still my girlfriend. Like, I'm so serious with that one, guys. We're married, but my wife is still my girlfriend. And we always kept it that way. That was one of the agreements we had in the beginning of the marriage. And another thing that we did in the beginning is when we use a specific code word, it was time to get down to business. So even if we're angry, we're cursing, we're doing whatever, once that code word is mentioned, get naked and get your ass inside. It is what it is. And that was a really good savior for us. Because sometimes when I thought I was walking out, she just used a code word. God damn. But let me go do what I have to do and then I'll walk out after. And when you're finished, you're like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. We were so pathetic after the action, it was crazy. So for me, Pastor, as I said, I live in the moment. This is all I know. Whenever we get into that space right there, it's a spiritual exchange for me.
So it's a spiritual exchange. That's what I need to hear from you, Sean. So I want to go to the
Why do you seem happy? What's wrong with you? Why do you say something? Okay, now you guys what is softball answers now? Let me hear you guys. I know Pastor Jeff's answer is going to be the softest. Terrence looked like he might come in second. Sean, let me hear what you got.
Hey, who's running the show here?
It looks
Pastor
like
Jeff, obviously.
Terrence, I'm gonna let you go ahead and go first, man.
On this question, because I have hearing about this years ago when people were talking about soul ties and it became a big conversation. I started thinking about one of my friends when I grew up with, right? He is the best example I can think of this because he lost his virginity to a very promiscuous female. And after that, it was like this thing with him where he became that sort of way. And that every time I hear soul ties, I think about that because that's the example that I have. That's it's the first thing came to my mind. And I was like, yeah, the soul tie thing is real because it was like instant. It was like he was a different person after him and her had had sex. So that's just where my mind goes every time I hear that. I'm just like, he lost his virginity to someone who was very promiscuous, and he became very promiscuous after that.
all right, brother. Big Sean.
Oh man, if you wouldn't mind repeating the question for me.
All right. So your perspective of soul ties in the spiritual realm is that when a man and a woman come together, that there is a deposit that is made in the woman from the man, and there's a deposit that the man receives from the woman, a spiritual deposit.
Absolutely, and that's every day, and it goes way beyond sex. I'm starting to hear an echo again.
Another bird, right? You have a lot of birds around him. That's the problem.
Well, I can't mute, so they
Nah,
won't
I'm
be able to hear
good.
us
I'm
on
good now.
Clubhouse if I mute.
It's all good. It's all good. So as far as the spiritual deposit, man, I believe personally it's something that's needed every day. You know, no matter if you're hurt, you're angry at the person, no matter if you're happy, if you're sad, if you're going through whatever you're going through, just giving that person the spiritual deposit, letting them know that you're there for them, letting them know that you love them, celebrating with them on the victory, crying with them on the defeats, you know, but standing toe and toe together. Like that's what's important, man, and that's what's gonna sustain. You know, I know we get on here and we talk wild, and you know, I don't want any woman, especially my daughters, going out looking for a man that is only interested in how the sex is. Like my daughters, to me, like there's so much more to them than that. And for me to then go to another woman and say that's all I want and that's the major thing that I'm looking for from you would make me wrong. So I live in the sense that I want to be the type of man that I want for my daughters to have. And setting that example comes first. So again, I go back to even with my younger queens, my kids. I got two daughters, 14 and 9, and they give me spiritual deposits, and I implant spiritual deposits into them because of my love and what I want for them. So I mean, in the answer to your question, it's not just sex, you know. You gotta have that between each other. You gotta have that between your kids. You gotta have that between your parents, your grandparents. Like that's what every individual needs to feed on, you know, in order to make their spirit whole. And if you're feeling good and you're happy, there is no better time to make someone else's life happy. And you know, I'm not a rich man. You know, I'm not a man of means, but when I see somebody hurting or I see somebody in pain or someone in need and I can give them a spiritual deposit, say, hey man, look, I'm not rich. You know, you might have $5,000 in debt, but here's $100. You know what I mean? And like that is also spiritual deposit to me. So and it goes so far beyond sex. Um, Sometimes it's damn near not even worth talking about. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna be there. Just like you're attracted to somebody. If it's good, it's good. You know, if not, you move on. But you gotta have more than that to sustain. And when my daughters, if they choose to find a husband, I want them to find that same uh, substance. I want them to have that same relationship with their husbands, man, their wives, whatever whatever they choose to do in between God. You know what I mean? So as long as they're keeping God first, um, and they can always lean on me for an example. You feel me? And that's most important. I'm always here for them, and that's really important to me. So I'm a little long-winded, but I wanted to get that out there that ladies, there's plenty of men out here just not interested in how the vagina is. You know what I mean? So um, it's got to be a balance between everything, and that spiritual deposit is a big one. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what for that question.
Absolutely, gentlemen. I want to say
I
thank
will not
you.
remove that message. Carry on, Pastor. Shout out this baby, bro.
I want to say thank you for coming to the GW3 Global Club, the Tom Ford Fridays Men Takeover Mindset, Money, and Matrimony. We've enjoyed this conversation. Just want to give this disclaimer before we close. The opinion shared on the GW3 Tom Ford Fridays Men's Takeover Mindset, Money, and Matrimony do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the GW3 Global Club, the Global Women Wealth Warriors, or the board. Opinions are those of those who express them. And so we want to say to our guest, Terrence, thank you so very much. Tell everybody how they can contact you, Terrence.
You can check out my blog, my website, thebrownsugarcafe.blog. I'm also on Instagram, the Brown Sugar Cafe, and Facebook.
Thank you so much, King, for joining us. And we're going to go to Sean L. Tell everybody how they can contact you, Brother Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on Clubhouse and LinkedIn primarily. I'm primarily on LinkedIn. You can find me there at Sean Landrum. You can find me on Facebook at Sean Landrum. Instagram, you can also find me at Sean Landrum. It comes up as IB Freshville. So right now, like I said, we got some animations in the works. We got a thriller in the works. So it's just been a blessing, man, a ride. And, I'm looking forward to sharing it with as many people as possible.
Guys,
Sean 10K, tell everybody where you want them to contact you at.
Sean10k.com. That's it. I'm not with all that fancy extra stuff. Sean10k.com. But if you're going to follow me on social media, follow me at your own risk. Okay? Sean10k.com. I'm not here to be politically correct. I'll be straight up with you. So follow me at your own risk. Go to Sean10k.com. You want to feel good? Go meet PastorJeff.com. He's going to make you feel good.
Follow Sean10k.com.
And Sean L. to make you feel that everything is okay. Kumbaya, hug the tree. If you want to be great, if you want to be unstoppable, go to Sean10k.com. Tap in with me at your own risk. Back to you, Pastor Jeff.
At your own risk. And I'm Pastor Jeff. I've been the host today for the Tom Ford Fridays, where we've had this barbershop conversation where the ladies are flies on the wall and the men get to chop it up. You can follow me at meetpastorjeff.com, www.meetpastorjeff.com. And we give thanks, gratitude, and honor to the lady, the beautiful one herself, who makes these programs possible. And that's none other than the Ebony Fashion Fair, International Ebony Fashion Fair model, the beautiful one herself, Miss Renee Noor. We're going to take these conversations right back to the clubhouse, and we may give the ladies an opportunity to chime in for just a moment. And look here, on every Wednesday night, come back right here on YouTube as well as Facebook, where we have conversations after dark, business conversations after dark. And at the 8 o'clock hour, starts at 6. And at the 8 o'clock hour, we talk about relationships. And we allow the ladies to come up and chop it up about the conversations we've had here on these Fridays. Look here, if nobody told you today, Pastor Jeff wants to let you know you have an absolutely beautiful smile. That's right. If you don't believe me, get a mirror, compact mirror, side view mirror, your bathroom mirror. I don't care. Find a mirror. Look in it. Smile at yourself. I guarantee you, yourself is going to smile back. Now, consider that it's God smiling on you, and you go share God's smile with the rest of the world. Until next week, Pastor Jeff loves you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. God bless.